Hey, welcome to the Film Threat Livecast. We got a great show for you tonight. Damn, this music's loud. I got to do everything here. Now, Chris is not here right now. Apparently, he's been doing other shows behind my back, and I don't know. I think I need to call a lawyer and get lawyers involved. But in spite of that, we've got a great show. I don't know where Chris is. We got the major releases coming out today. We've got A Quiet Place, Day 1, Kalki, 2898 AD, Horizon and American Saga, Part 1, and maybe other things. We also have a guest, Geoff McFetridge. Dan Covert about his film, Geoff McFetridge, Fetridge, Drawing a Life. And hey, I'm excited about the show. I hope you are. And let's get
Good job.
Son of a bitch.
Good job, Alan. That was great.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I had to do it. I had to do it to you. That was awesome.
Yeah.
You never know what to expect.
Yeah. And so, you'll see me in July 11th. I'll be at the National Comedy Theater doing improv just like that. Right off the top of my head.
Save that for the end of the show. Thank you to everyone. A lot of people's probably still watching Geeks and Gamers Daily. I guest co-hosted with Ryan Kinnell, and hopefully some of those people join us on our live stream here on YouTube. Alan, are you excited to talk the new releases today?
Yes. All three of them, maybe four.
Yeah. Well, I barely had time to change my shirt and get a fresh cup of coffee, but I am raring and ready to go.
Yeah, you're a trooper. I mean,
were you guys watching? Were you guys watching?
I didn't know about it until I logged into River like 5 minutes ago.
Oh, well, there you are. There you are. Let's say hi to people. Ready, Alan?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's do this. Burrick Merck, new member. Welcome aboard. Let's see. A Nerd Far Away. Should anyone wish to read my take on The Coffee Table, it's in the Discord. I want Film Threat to know I reported back. Okay.
I got to get back on Discord.
Yes, you do.
Thank you. Yes. My apologies. I've been gone, been a little busy, but yeah.
Not that busy. All right, Suns and Shadows. I won't lie. Once Keemer went Sith mode, I changed my stance on that actor. The charisma came out. Yeah, I mean, he's better with the mask off than he was with the mask on.
Yep.
Okay, Darth Yeager. I'm here for both the film and the threat.
Heck yeah.
Yes, and Patrick Lemire. Film Threat making the dyslexic guy go live reads since 2020. Yeah. No, you have no idea the live reads I've had to do and how long they take. Razor Burn. Chris is trying to beat Gary on who is the most late and gay. Yeah, I think it's a real competition now going. And from Scott, fire Frank Gore.
Fire me? Yeah. Why? What did I do?
We're doing other shows.
You
should be here doing this show on time.
Look.
Yeah, and a bucket of semen. Gifted 20 Film Threat memberships.
20 Film Threat memberships. Okay. So a couple things. Yes, thank you for that. We appreciate it. And check the members tab for exclusive videos, giveaways, and the big news today. Well, they were going to announce it on FNT, but I'm going to talk about it.
Yeah. And I believe we talked about it on Wednesday.
Well, there's a meetup. And I do think, I'll just share screen here. Okay. I'll share screen really quick. I'm going to beat Gary to, here we go. San Diego meetup. Come to Big Man Comics fan meetup on Wednesday, July 24th at 7 p.m. at Basic Bar Pizza, 410 10th Avenue in San Diego. Join Chris and Alan with Gary from Neurotic, Gabe El Taib from Big Man Comics, Quarter Black Garrett, I'll edit that, Craig from Side Scrollers, and the inimitable Razor Fist, Jericho Green, and more. Just 3 blocks from the convention center. There is a scan to code to RSVP. So if you will be in San Diego, you don't have to have a thing for the con. There you go. So just letting you know that's happening. We'll probably do something like an overflow if it gets crazy.
Mhm.
So we have to do it. And quick reminder, visit filmthreat.com, new film reviews daily, and very important, the Film Threat shop.
Yes.
We are adding all kinds of new t-shirts that are awesome. This one inspired by The Godfather, I would say. There you go. If you can see that. Lots of cool stuff. Look, you got look, we're getting into American Pride Month in July. Pick up one of those shirts. Pick up, if you haven't already, the Blu-ray of my film Attack of the Doc. Go to shop.filmthreat.com. All right, Alan.
Chris.
Yeah. Couple more super chats coming in hot before we get the first review.
All right, Pre-Dawn Corpse for $4.99. Thank you. I asked you this on G&G, Chris. What are your thoughts on John Carpenter's The Thing? And what about you, Alan?
One of my favorite horror movies ever made. I saw the movie in a theater when I was 16. I could drive a car, and I only cared about driving a car so I could go see movies. I didn't care about dating girls. I cared about like going to the movies every weekend. The Thing scared me so much. I recall it was the last time I slept with the light on. I was so scared. I used to, like, when I was a little kid, see an episode of The Twilight Zone or Night of the Living Dead. I was so scared I would sleep with the light on. Yeah. And I slept with the light on at 16 years old when I saw that movie. It is one of my all-time favorites. It holds up, and I love it. It's so good. Alan, do you have thoughts on that?
I mean, look, I've made it known I don't watch horror films, and I will say this: in the 70s and 80s, horror trailers were incredible because even the trailers scared the hell out of me. So I had not seen John Carpenter's The Thing, but I have seen the original, and that one was pretty scary on its own.
The original, the black and white from the 50s?
Yeah.
Now, wait, what is it that you always say about horror?
It scares the living poop out of me.
There you go. Well,
you already have video of me saying that.
Well, I don't know if we have it loaded. We can play it, but
oh my God. I just remember like watching the trailers to Friday the 13th just gave me nightmares on my own.
Right.
They were just so good. Knee Pain. Hey, Knee Pain. For $5. Finally finished the D-Files. Thank you for recommending it. Loved it. Slightly triggered. The PTSD is manageable. I know it's interesting how that has just permeated the entire company because we just focused on Disney animation, but to see that it went to Lucasfilm, to Pixar, to Marvel, even to all its business units. Heaven knows what they did to the Muppets.
Well, I'll just say, Knee Pain, thank you so much for your fandom. There are a lot of people who think like you, who work in the industry, like good people who are here for the love of cinema, whose lives were changed from seeing a movie. And for many people, that movie was Star Wars. And just thank you. I watched your live stream. Appreciate you, and keep doing it. Maybe like do a video on the D-Files. You could give your take. I'll say this: you have only seen you've seen maybe 25% of what Alan and I have seen, because the people that were coming to us were telling us stories we could not share because it would give away who they were or specific details. Everyone was kept anonymous, and the stuff we have heard, the documents that have been shared are chilling. And I agree with you, Knee Pain, on your take on James O'Keefe. It's, hey, Attack the company for their policies. Don't attack a random guy because he's dating. When you're dating, I feel the same way as you. Unless you're being intimate, you can see other girls, you see who you like, you be honest about it. That was like a bad reality show. That second video that it really turned me off. It turned me off. I was not happy about that. But yeah, I mean, more and more people are coming out in the industry. We're starting a new column, an extension of the D Files. It's called Hollywood is DEIing. Hollywood is dying, where we are exposing documents. And ours are kind of like cold. Like James O'Keefe, I think, goes for like kind of salacious, like for like he makes it like reality TV. Ours are more like, hey, this is what people are saying. Here's what, here's some documents. People are being asked, people who work below the line. You know what that is. Below the line, not on camera, not like writers or directors. These are gaffers, people who work on film sets, DPs, whatnot. People who run a film set, they get it done, are being asked their gender identity. What difference does that make to a guy rigging lights? And I know people are lying about that to get jobs so that they can remain employed. It's very sad. It's very sad. Alan, any comments on Knee Pain? You should subscribe to Knee Pain, everybody. Knee Pain.
No, I'm just mentioning it there. It's just, we got a lot of information for the D Files. We were focusing on Disney Animation, but we did get people did reach out to us from the other business units like theme parks, the other ones. I'm looking for words here, but the theme parks were the big one, and it's just pervasive throughout the entire company, and I think weirdly enough, I think Disney is just the worst case example, and I think a lot of the studios are looking at Disney saying, let's not do this.
And Yepain gifted 10 Film Threat memberships. So Yepain, thank you. Yeah. Join us on Discord. There's a Discord link. Look at the members only tab. Tons of videos of Q&As. Alan and I are fortunate enough to live near the industry, so we go to industry screenings. There are a lot of Q&As. I take video of them. So watch those videos, and a lot of fun. Thank you, Knee Pain.
By the way, in the Daddy-O Q&A, did you include Sean Penn telling everyone to shut
Yes. Sean Penn tells me to turn off. Well, there were a lot of people, to be fair, but yeah.
There was a lot of people. In fact, I'd say half of that front section had their cameras on.
They're all filming. He said,
but all you had to do was go into the upper section and then film it from there. He would have let you have done it.
I wanted to be respectful, so whatever.
He gave you
I turned off my camera, but you can see Sean Penn telling me to turn off my camera. Hey, one last one here before we start the show. Go ahead, Alan.
Yes, David Smart for 5. Thank you. Hey guys, I'm watch Kevin Costner's film today. Wish me luck. I almost said the wrong word. And I was disappointed with the Quiet Place prequel. Oh yeah, we're gonna talk about both.
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that. Okay. All right. I'm on my screen. I'm looking at What was I doing?
I think you were. Was that from the debate last night?
No, that is not from the debate. All right, Alan, what should we start with? Let's do this.
A Quiet Place. Yeah. All right. You want me to do this?
Of course I want you to do this.
All right, here we go. So Quiet Place Day 1 is the prequel. How did it all begin? We loved A Quiet Place. We loved A Quiet Place Part 2. I think that was the name of it. So basically, it opens with a young woman, Samira, played by Lupita Nyong'o. She goes by Sam. She's living in hospice care. She is dying of cancer. She is in a group therapy session writing poetry that is profanity laden. She hates life and is giving up. After the session, her nurse Ruben, played by Alex Wolff, says, "Hey, let's go see a show in New York. A bunch of us are going in." They take a bus, and it winds up being a puppet show. During that puppet show, Sam walks out, and as she walks out, she sees jets fly by and tanks rolling through, and then all of a sudden, New York City is bombarded by meteors, and aliens are born, and they're eating people. She runs away. She gets knocked out, finds herself in the puppet show theater, and everyone's telling her to be quiet. And the alien. So if you know Quiet Place, you know what's going on. You make a sound, the alien. That's how they attracts the aliens. They kill you. The government is trying to get everyone evacuated off of New York. They've destroyed all the bridges since the aliens can't swim. They said, "Hey, go to the boats, go to the water, go to the boats. We'll get you off." But Sam decides, "I'm going to get pizza in Harlem," and Ruben says, "You can't do that." And Ruben says, "Well, I'll go with you." And let's just say it doesn't work out so well for one of them. And the whole movie is about Sam and not only surviving the alien invasion, but kind of coming to terms with her own mortality. During the movie, she runs into Eric, played by Joseph Quinn, who is suffering PTSD, and the two of them form an unlikely friendship. And that's A Quiet Place, day one.
Yeah, it's So I like the Quiet Place movies. I thought the second one was okay. This one is a different take, and I like that it opens on this quote, like the just general the noise in New York City is like 90 decibels, which is about the level of someone screaming.
Yeah, a constant scream, basically.
Constant scream. So sound plays a huge part of this, the level of sound in it, like you hear constantly the use of sound. You forgot to mention that she has a pet cat.
It's Frodo.
Frodo, service cat.
Damn cat.
Which is tags along in the whole film. I mean, there are great jump scares. You see it from the perspective of her. All she wants is pizza, but all she really wants is to find a reason to want to live. And by partnering with Eric, the two of them trying to survive, they heal each other in some way. So there's more to it. They're great.
Yeah, it's not. I should say her wanting pizza has a little more depth to it.
Yeah, there's more depth to that.
Yeah,
it's not. But by the way, I've had New York pizza. It's amazing. Those giant slices, you have to fold it over to eat it. It's, oh my God. Yeah. Chef's kiss. Original Ray's. Original Ray's is the pizza in New York. Yeah. Look for it. And every original Ray's you go to says, well, this is the original. This is the one that started it. They all lie. But that was, Lupita's great. Lupita is really good. And the guy, Eric the actor, yes. I was going to say Eric the actor. The character, Joseph Quinn from Stranger Things, he is going to play the Human Torch, Johnny Storm.
Oh, is that him?
Yeah, that's him. Okay. So looking forward to that.
Well, yeah. Then well done. Good casting.
Yeah. The director also directed Pig with Nick Cage. Interesting choice. So I really enjoyed it. Great tension moments. It doesn't overstay its welcome. It's an hour and 40 minutes, perfect length. The ending I thought was a great payoff. Other supporting characters I thought were good, and just the trying to figure out, a lot of I mean, the reason they don't go into this too much, but they blew up the bridges so those creatures couldn't leave the island. Right. So it's like you got to take a boat off the island because we've learned something new about these creatures, that water is something they can't handle. They drown in water. Mm-hmm. So there you go. But and you're not a horror fan, so I actually think for you, this is something like as a I did enjoy it. I give it a recommend between a 6 and a 7. Just a good, and it was made for $65 million, cheap. And
Impressive.
yeah, one of the producers is Michael Bay.
Yeah.
I don't know if you knew that. Did you?
I saw it in the credits. I noticed it in the credits.
Well, I will say there's no post-credit scene, so I can save you time there.
Because we already know where it's going. I'll say this. There's one reason I saw this movie, and it's because my wife begged me to see this movie.
Oh, good. Did you see it with her?
I did see it with her. I took her.
Okay.
A little date night last night.
This proves a point. Women love horror.
Yeah. Of the two of us, she is the horror person. She will she will beg me to take her to horror movies, to the point where I just said, just ask your sister or take your niece to go see this movie, because I'm not taking you to see these movies. So she has seen way more horror films than I do. I took her to this just because I'm a good husband, and she deserves these things. And she is a big fan of the first two movies. She loves the first two movies. Probably loved part 2 more than you did. And this is what she told me. And I kind of agree with her. The charm of the first, when you make a movie, a sequel or prequel, the idea is you're supposed to take what you love about the originals and put them in the sequels or the prequels, because that's why people go to these things. They didn't do that. The heart of the first 2 movies was the Abbott family. The entire first movie, I don't think you see the alien until the end of the movie. The entire film is about this family. You're spending time getting to know this family, feeling empathy for them. So and audiences got so much empathy for this family that they made a sequel based on that family even more. In this one, this is the lore of A Quiet Place. So you're not seeing necessarily a human story. You're seeing how the aliens got here, what the aliens do. You learn a little bit more of information because he happened to stumble in on something for no reason at all, Eric. The whole idea of having Lupita Nyong'o start off as Sam starting off in a hospice. This is what you call shorthand for sympathy. She's dying. Therefore, you have sympathy for him. There's shorthand. But the problem is you don't really get to know her throughout the movie because you're more focused on the lore and the aliens chasing them. And this whole movie is basically an alien chase movie, with moments of drama to kind of fill in those things. And so, I think they tried their best. And there we go. I think they tried their best to create sympathy, but it was just a little too on the nose there. And so I'm not a big fan of the movie. I gave it a 5.
Well, I give it a positive. I give it a recommend. I enjoy. It's like anything between Alien and Aliens. It's just a lot more. It's different. They actually don't know what it is. They're trying to, figure out what these creatures are, what their weaknesses are. Like, you hear these helicopters hovering over them that say, shelter in place. Stay. And they say, go to the boats. Like I do love, if you've seen the trailer to this movie, the trailers only really focus on the first half of the film.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh my God, I've seen all the shots from I have no idea what's going to happen. And obviously we won't go into it for spoilers, but the other thing that's so great about this film, the cat, Frodo, the cat Frodo. No,
all
wait.
Right. Go ahead.
They wrote an entire book called Save the Cat. It is a shorthand to, you see a character and they basically are kind to a smaller creature, and that makes you identify or really like that character. I mean, it really works. I thought they were going to go a different way with a white guy, black woman element. It's not what you think. And so, don't talk about it.
Okay. Well, I'll say this.
It's very different than what I thought. There's no racial element played.
Right.
Which they could have done.
Yeah. Let me just say that, black protagonist, white supporting character. No, she's great. She earned the spot in the movie. She's very good in it, and race is never brought up in the film, which is how it should be.
Yes.
There shouldn't.
Yes.
If there was a moment where she has to point out his privilege, that would have just destroyed everyone. She didn't. It was about two people finding connection, trying to find a reason to survive. That's what this film is about, and it happens to be a black protagonist and a white protagonist. Second thing is the thing that my wife that my wife and I disagreed most about it was that damn cat. And this was
the cat.
This was the other problem I had with the movie, and it refers to stakes. The cat is a great example of this. Let's just say that there's a moment where the cat could have just killed everybody. You know, by the cat is doing cat things and making sounds, and this is what I don't understand, but you put people in a building together. All it takes is one sound for the aliens to come in and eat
right
100 people in one shot, and the cat is almost the cause of that. And I'm like, but we just brush it off because the cat is cute. There are times where the cat could have done something wrong. There are times where the cat is in positions where cats should have died. And it's also we got to bring the cat back. The cat just keeps showing up and showing up. It's like the dog. You understand these movies where dogs chase after their masters, will cross the country. I just don't think cats do that. My experience with cats is they don't care about you. And so this cat is basically a dog in the movie. And to back up what I say about steaks. So Sam wants pizza in Harlem. Her friend early on in the movie decides, okay, you shouldn't go, but if you're going to go, I'm going to go with you. And instantly he dies. He gets eaten by an alien.
Well, that was
okay. She feels bad for a moment and then just goes on, which tells me that the stakes of his death meant nothing to her. And I feel like that was more of a story problem than a character problem, that they needed to have this moment of him dying like that, but they never really paid it off because she just comes off. This is how I felt. She just came off as heartless to just move on with the death of her friend.
I think she was dealing with a lot. She was dealing, and it was like there were people dying all around her. So the fact that Eric has PTSD and he's like not able to handle what's happening, and they kind of bond. And I think that it almost is like a superpower with her. She's dying of cancer. She needs her meds. She's already facing death and surrounded by it.
Right,
but that makes her unique.
The problem is, if he didn't go with her to go get pizza, he would still be alive. It was her need to go and get pizza that made him go with her. And it was because of her he died. And she dealt with it for a moment. And then the character is forgotten for the rest of the movie at that point.
All right. Well, bottom line, I recommend A Quiet Place day one. Alan, what about you?
I don't. No, it's not a Quiet Place movie. It's an alien chase movie.
Well, fine.
All right. Oh,
Frank Miller, American. What?
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 I didn't say anything.
Alan. All right, let's go to your comments. Wait, keep the poster up.
But
we have when we're reviewing the film, we have the posters, Alan.
Yes, but you had me describe it, and so I'm doing now two things at once.
We did.
Here, I got it.
Let's come on.
There you go. Poster. Yeah, so let me just say probably the gayest thing about me is I love musicals.
Well, I'm glad you're willing to.
I love musicals.
All right,
by the way, they showed the Joker 2 trailer, the new Joker 2 trailer. I am so in on this movie.
Oh, same. I am so
cannot
in.
wait to see this movie.
I can't wait. It's going to be great. I'm very pumped for Todd Phillips.
I mean, that was an impressive trailer. I'm in.
Also, I saw the trailer. We can't show it because of the music. The trailer for Here.
Yeah.
You know what that is? I figured out what the movie is.
Uh-huh.
Obviously, it's one locked off shot at a location.
Right.
You know? And you see, like, it's the opening sequence of Up for a whole movie. That's what Here is. Robert Zemeckis took the opening sequence from Up, which when you watch that, Alan,
yeah,
you get a little weep.
I cried.
Yeah, they just took that and made it a movie. So, yeah, I saw that trailer too. Let's go to comments about A Quiet Place Day One. Alan, if you would.
Yes, from Chris Wakefield for $4.99. Thank you. Red Letter Media just did an episode about the Acolyte and the culture war and debate about it. Is great neutral examination. High recommendation. I almost watched it.
Yeah, I watched it. I watch every video they put out. Don't always agree, but love their perspective, and I love them being in the conversation. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, I'd rather hear what Grace Randolph has to say. For Big Billy, as a new member, welcome aboard. Mike MC Wong says, I didn't like The Quiet Place either. Horizon has problems, but still I liked it more than Quiet Place Day One. Brock Samsonite, wait, so she's on hospice, but she's gonna survive an alien apocalypse?
She's not on hospice. She's not on hospice. She's part of a cancer support group. She's on meds.
There.
Hospice is when you are going to die and there's nothing more they can do.
I thought she was a patient there.
Yes.
That's why she was in the gown.
Look, I've had relatives in hospice. It's
this nothing in New York.
There's nothing more we can do. We can give you meds for the pain, but you are going to sit here and die. And we're just, she's not in hospice.
Okay.
Brock. So Alan misspoke.
I think she was in hospice.
That's not what hospice is.
Let me see. Let's see. Sam, a terminally ill cancer patient, lives in hospice in New York City with her service cat, Ruben. That's from the...
Lives in hospice. My understanding, hospice is when you're bedridden, there's nothing you can do, and they give you pain meds, and you're just dying. So, all right. We'll move. This is not a medical show. So there you go. All right. Sorry,
I'm just
oh good, man.
All right. So here we go. Oh dear Lord. Caviantino Cavalryman Shay. Huh? There are aliens attacking. Let's go to the Harlem and get pizza.
It makes sense because she doesn't care. Yeah. She's gonna die anyways. She just wants one moment of happiness.
Right. And her friend is dead because of it. All right. From Vorpal Snack, I heard the cat steals the movie.
Yes. Well, that's actually true. We got supers came in. Let's do those first.
Okay. Let's see. David Smart for 2. I'm dying in the gym while enjoying the show.
Hey, keep going, David. Keep going. Motivation. Let's go. Go hard. Yeah.
JBTRX for 2. For the gay musical clip, haha.
Yeah. Thanks, JTP.
Bush and Real Cat for 5. Hail Film Threat and Chat. Plot hole number 245 for Day 1. Guy tugs his shirt and he gets murked, but a squirrel dances around a waterfall like Gene Kelly and nothing.
Yeah, that's weird.
That was. I mean, we could talk about the whole use of ambient sound as a way to shield yourself. I just felt a little bit inconsistent, but I'll let it go.
Well, it was fun because during some of the quote quiet moments, it's really because there's in every movie you see, there's always ambient sound, right? A wall of sound.
Right.
When it's not so quiet, you could hear people crinkle their snacks and eat popcorn because it was so quiet and the audience was very quiet, and it worked. Hey, thank you, Bush and Ryu. I saw you on E&G Daily.
Yeah. So the Quiet Place wiki says that she is in hospice in New York City.
I stand corrected. It's not my understanding of what hospice is.
Well, yeah, but this is New York City, so
it's all good.
All right,
I'm correct.
Darth Eraser 777 for 5. Thank you. There's going to be another one, A Quiet Place -1.
I would like that.
Actually, we should. How about in black and white? How about this one in black and white?
That would be great. A few more comments here.
Daniel T. Cats won't be that quiet when there's an alien invasion. Yeah, the cat never purred, never meowed. That was the other thing. JPTR.
Okay, wait. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead.
JPTRX for 5. Hey, Chris, hospice now has wider definition. I volunteer at a home hospice and stay on for a couple years, and some come off service.
Okay, I'm not aware of that. Obviously, I'm not a person with medical knowledge like that, but okay, it has a wider definition. That's okay. That's cool.
Yes.
Hospice. No, that's fine. Look, I want to be corrected. The chat is always right. The chat is always right. Because, there you go. And Alan, I have to fact check Alan. I do have to. But thank you, JTPRX. Appreciate that. And thank you for your service.
All right, D. Goodhart. Seeing A Quiet Place tomorrow night, and now looking forward to seeing it even more. Well, good.
You will. I think it's, as someone who likes horror, unlike Alan, I enjoyed it, and you should too.
All right. Christopher Moonlight Productions, welcome again. I hear that A Quiet Place music soundtrack are whatever movie is playing in the next theater over.
Yeah, because it's so quiet. That's funny, Christopher.
I've got to tell you, though, that we went to the IMAX down the street from my house. There were sound problems when we walked in. During the quiet moments, those sound problems persisted.
Oh, no.
I know. Goober, so they've mastered space travel, but they can't get their pinkies wet.
It's never explained. These creatures, it's never explained. I mean, who knows? They could be like interplanetary sea monkeys, right?
Yeah.
They're reanimated in certain, like an oxygen atmosphere. We don't know anything.
Yeah, they didn't travel by spaceship. They were in basically pods.
So you get a little more of these things, let's just say.
Yeah. So, a little backstory even throughout. And Davina Duckworth, Alan is not a cat person. I do have a cat. I do have a cat, and we do not interact at all.
Well, there you go. Yeah. All right, let's talk about Horizon now. People are excited. Get that Horizon poster up.
There we go.
Get
what?
Wait.
This is the Horizon poster.
Let's fucking go.
That wasn't it. It's I love breasts. Women look at other women's breasts. Gay men love breasts. One thing that could unite the world is breasts and cleavage. I really believe that. I truly believe in breasts. All right, Alan.
Did you play that because this is the only movie this week that has them?
Well, yes. All right. Horizon, an American Saga, Chapter 1 is out in theaters now. It is a 3-hour epic that takes place like kind of, in the American West. At the start of the Civil War is, happening in the background, not so much affecting these characters because these characters are settlers that have come to Horizon, an area that's being touted that, hey, come to Horizon, come to this beautiful place, but it's in the middle of nowhere. And you follow several storylines in this, and you follow the storyline of a family that's attacked by Indians and wiped out. A mother and daughter are the only survivors of this Indian attack, and it's brutal. It's brutal. Arrows, there is scalping happening, people murdered. So you meet the mother-daughter that survived that attack. You meet Sam Worthington's character, who is stationed at a fort just down from Horizon, basically recommending that the residents, like, look, we're 26 miles away. We can't protect you. Why don't you settle near the fort? You meet Luke Wilson, plays a character, Matthew, who's kind of the head of this wagon train of settlers that has Will Patton, who plays Owen. They're off on this journey to Horizon. So you meet people at the fort where Sam Worthington is. Michael Rooker plays Sergeant Major Reardon. There are all these storylines, and you meet the Indians that partake in the attack, which oddly enough, they're not all on board with wiping out the settlers, the white eyes, right? That are coming across the country to settle in the the frontier. So you see tensions within the Indians. Do we kill these people? There are factions within the Indians that want to just wipe them out and kill them all, and other elders saying this may not be so wise. You meet Kevin Costner's character, who we don't learn a lot about, oddly enough. He's a gunman. We see him in some skirmishes. I won't say what happens, but he is veiled in mystery. So there are many storylines and a ton of characters introduced in this. I loved it because I love Westerns. This is back to the basics, right? All the things you associate with a good Western, stories of survival and, braving the challenges of the frontier. But here's the flaw of this. This isn't a movie. Horizon is a TV show. And what we were shown in theaters was the first 3 episodes of this TV show in theaters. In fact, big flaw, no spoilers at all. The movie doesn't end. It doesn't say like,
it goes into a coming next week segment.
Yeah, there's no like, well, that was chapter 1 and coming in the next chapter. They just go into a montage of what's going to happen in the next chapter.
Yeah, and that montage goes on for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, and like, look, I'm invested. You see, the other thing that's great in this, there's warning, there's nudity. There is nudity. There's a woman who takes a bath and she's topless, and these guys are kind of oogling her. And
Can you demonstrate that again, by the way?
What's that?
Can you demonstrate that again?
Yeah, she's does it's like she's cleaning her breasts with a little bath, but she's using the drinking water. Like there's characters in the wagon train that are dumb, that are not helping the wagon train, and they have to be.
Also mentioned she's British,
and she's very hot.
She doesn't
very
know
hot,
yeah.
And there's even like, I'll say this, like there's romance in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, just traditional romance. People like each other. They express it. There may be a stolen kiss. And this is back to the basics of, what I love about Westerns. You've got characters you're invested in. I think some are not going to make it. But this 3 hours is just set up to 4 other, well, it's supposed to be 4 movies.
Yeah, 4 parts. Yeah.
4 parts. And I like what I saw, but it doesn't have the weight of like a Dances with Wolves. The ending was clunky. like they ran out of money. Like, just, hey, say end chapter 1, coming in chapter 2. It needed a title card, and that 5-minute like montage should have been 2 minutes. Like, so I liked it. I will recommend it. And it was packed at a 3 p.m. screening I went to. Packed. Like, and people clapped at the end. I just think people want comfort food. This is Western comfort food. I really enjoyed it. I'm in for the next chapter. Alan, what did you think of Horizon and American Saga?
Yeah, I enjoyed it as well.
Yeah.
I will say that, I talk about my local theater that's almost dying. For a Thursday, there were a lot of people at my theater. There were a lot of this showing. The majority of the people in the theater were senior citizens, and there were a lot of kids. There are a lot of kids in the audience, a lot of kids in the theater going to see Inside Out too. So kudos to the theater industry. You're coming back this summer.
There was an old couple,
Mm-hmm.
two really old couples sitting behind me that talked the whole movie, like they were home watching TV.
Yeah.
And I almost turned around and said, "Hey, will you kids shut up?" But I didn't mind. I thought it was charming. They were cute. This cute, like, old woman and married, they're older couple. And they loved the film. And they're all like, "Oh, he's back. Oh, what is he?" Like, they were quiet about it. But I was like, would you teenagers knock it off? But I didn't say anything. It was so cute. And everyone in the theater loved it. They really did.
Mm-hmm.
They'll be back for chapter 2 and the other. Like, so yeah, I couldn't believe, like, and there were, like, I saw a lot of, like, parents that brought their kids to watch it.
Yeah, I might
seem to like it.
Yeah, I might take my daughter to see it. I'm gonna have to sell this one a bit. But the other thing is, anytime I visit my dad, he's super old. I go to his house. What is he doing? He's watching Westerns. All he does all day is watch Westerns. I could surmise what it is, but I really like this one. In fact, I think back to the first Western that I saw that I watched over and over again. It was Silverado, which happened to star Kevin Costner. But this one, this is a weird one in the sense of this 3-hour movie felt like one of those giant comic book collections, the large one books. It is so dense with story. There's so much story in there. You only mentioned half of the storyline.
Well, I don't want to give too much away, but they set up so many conflicts. The wagon train.
Right.
You've got the fort. You've got, like, the Indians. You've got, like, the trading post has its own conflicts. These are the locations.
Right.
This is locations, characters, conflicts going forward.
Mm-hmm.
It's all building to a big finale.
I'll tell you, there's one moment where so there's storyline with Jenna Malone and this family that hate her, and this woman who's taking care of the child. And this is the Kevin Costner story where he's kind of protecting this woman and the child. And they go to this mining town, and there's a railroad. And I said to myself, if there aren't any Chinese people at this railroad, I'm going to be very angry. And guess what? There are Chinese people at this railroad. In fact, they gave lines to Chinese people in this movie. And I'm like, yeah, I'm totally on board.
And it was great. They were like, no Chinese who don't speak English. We don't want them.
And
we just want Chinese that speak English. They were like, so yeah, what's weird is, it was diverse, but it felt organic and authentic to the time. Mm-hmm. It's not like what's that terrible show people like, Bridgerton? I can't watch that show. It's
well, I mean, those are fictional romance novels.
Yeah, but anyways, like, this is all like, oh, I can see where this is going, and I'm really enjoying it. I literally was like sitting in the theater. I'm like, I'm just loving this.
Yeah,
it's a good old-fashioned Western.
Yeah, I definitely felt that way at the end. I mean, I'll say this. This is part 1 of part 4 of what? If they're all 3 hours?
4 parts.
Yeah, 4 parts. So if they're all 3 hours, you're talking 12 hours here. This is very much setting the stage. Kind of, there's the requisite amount of violence that you need to make it a Western. But you're getting the introduction to everybody, and you're getting the progression of some storylines, particularly the mother and daughter who are the sole survivors.
Survivors, yeah.
Yeah, so you see that. And I will say this: I disagree with you about the 5-minute montage. That montage, it showed that this movie is going to get more and more complex, and that this story is going to get more and more dense as you go along, just based on the images they flash before your eyes. Because they basically did what Star Wars trailer or teasers used to be. They're just throwing images at you, and with characters you kind of recognize and where they kind of might go. And I'm very from that montage, I'm just really excited to see part 2. The other thing though is the first half kind of moves pretty slow.
Right.
There's a lot of death going on in that first half, and a lot of it just trudges along, and there are fights. There are your typical indigenous versus cowboys, which is another pet peeve I have, because I don't think the Americans were calling the Native Americans indigenous at that time.
But there are a few clunky pieces of dialogue.
Yeah, but the only problem I have with the battle scenes is, if you're fairly familiar with stories, especially Westerns and early on, when a battle scene occurs, you know who's going to win, and they win. You know who has to lose, you know who has to win. So there's not a lot of surprise. You're just watching a massacre, and you're saying, well, there goes the white people, and then there goes the indigenous, and there they go. That's my only problem with the movie, and I'll chalk it up to, again, they're just setting the stage for the next one. I'll say this about Kevin Costner: if it's true that he put all his money into it, it says a lot about an artist who puts their own livelihood on the line for their art. Unlike Disney, who seems to have a treasure trove of cash to lie around and throw away. Kevin Costner at least has the fear of failure in him. That if this movie doesn't do well, if the second movie doesn't do well, not only could he go broke, but his art may never be complete. And so I appreciate that about him.
Well, do you recommend Horizon?
Absolutely.
Same here. Same.
Yeah.
Recommend.
Yeah.
But
in fact, I'm kind of like excited to see if I can somehow get my dad to see it.
Yeah, your dad would. If he loves Westerns, he's gonna love it. Take your dad and your daughter. There were a lot of families I noticed, which was like, oh my God, movie. This is something I'll go to the movies to see. So strong recommend from me. Only flaw, that ending. It needed a definitive ending, and then cut to black, and then whatever, and then show the montage. I'm okay with the 5-minute montage. If there is, it just kept going. Yeah. And there's a montage. That was I did not like that.
Well, my only issue with what you're saying is that where that montage starts, I don't think you could have ended the movie there. You needed.
They should have.
They ended the movie there, but you needed to have something to kind of excite people to come back and not leave on that note. And so, personally, I liked that montage. That got me even more excited about part 2.
All right, let's see what you think in the chat here. We've got some supers coming in
from Craig Wilson for $9.99. I find it odd that people are appealing to Star Wars Legends for explanations to things that have no precedent in live action except when KK canceled Legends canon.
Yeah, that is weird. You're talking about Acolyte and some of the stuff with that helmet that short circuits lightsabers. Like, no one knows that. It hasn't been introduced in live action. So why would we know that could be possible?
Well, it's easy. This took place back in the past. So if a Sith Lord can hit the switch on your lightsaber and turn it off, well, 100 years later they fix that problem.
Yeah. Thank you, Craig.
All right, sorry. Should I be more sarcastic?
Keep going.
I will. Truth Seeker American for 20. Thank you. I love this channel.
Oh, thank you, Truth Seeker American. Appreciate you. Thank
Yeah.
you.
I want True Seeker Canadian to match that. Bush and Ryu Cat for 2. Day 1, Nosferatu here. Deadpool and Wolverine, good movie season.
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
Mm-hmm.
It's those are the movies I'm all looking forward to.
Yeah.
So, well, day one I've seen, but
okay, Sons and Shadows. Well, Joker. Let's throw Joker in that one.
Yeah, Joker too.
Sons and Shadows. Remember for 11 months. Top 3 favorite westerns, guys.
Oh, that's hard. Dances with Wolves, Wild Bunch, Sam Peckinpah, Magnificent Seven. I gotta add El Topo. If you've seen Alejandro Jodorowsky's El Topo, epic. The sequel, Holy Mountain, is kind of weird, and really weird. But El Topo, one of my all-time. There are too many to name. Alan, what are yours?
Yes, so I mentioned Silverado, Blazing Saddles, and Three Amigos.
Yeah, we'd have to do like a top 10. We should, but thank you. El Topo, if you've not seen it, see it. Amazing film.
Yeah. My dad can certainly recommend some. Let's see. Bush and Ryu Cat for 2, Chris Allen, Young Guns, Tombstone, Quick and Dead.
Well, I like Quick and the Dead. I like all those movies. Young Gun's probably the least favorite of those. They're all good.
Yeah,
they're all good westerns.
I'll be honest. I saw Tombstone and Quick and the Dead with friends, and all we were doing was partying and talking throughout the whole thing. Young Guns, I do remember, just because I think I was such a big fan of the Brat Pack at the time, and it was like, oh
yeah,
God, they're doing
it's funny.
So Young Guns has a special place in my heart. Ban Brindle Beard the third for 199. Hey Alan, do you go to the Regal Edwards in Aliso Viejo? I'm not sure. Is that if you're talking about the one in Lake Forest? That one's Cinemark now. I don't think I've been to I don't recall one being in Aliso Viejo, but I might be thinking of a different one. And then from Caveat Ties on Rumble for 1, have you seen Lonesome Dove miniseries, the Tommy Lee Jones and Robert Duvall movie?
I watched parts of it years ago, but I don't remember it.
Yeah, me too.
I think the Western will make a comeback. So I'm going to take a quick break, Alan. So if you could start from the top.
Yes, from Beerosaurus Rex, I'm curious to know what Horizon does that hasn't been done many times before. I will say this, that's a good comment. I don't necessarily think I saw anything special about it. I think what this movie is, what sets this movie apart from the others is the breadth and the scope of it. It's dense in story, which you don't normally get in Westerns, and that might actually be a turnoff for people. Hey, it's me in HD. I come to Film Threat for the hard-hitting facts. Please confirm Gore does Horizon have Wild West crunchy bush. Yeah. Hey, we should say that for Chris. We'll get back to that one. Andrew S. Boobity. That's right. One Punch Man Tolkien fan. You said it, Chris. Love Westerns. Yes. I mean, it still surprises me that my Chinese dad loves Westerns. Uncle Remus, Horizon should have been a streaming series. Costner's going to lose his shirt on this one. I will say this. If Horizon was a streaming series, I wouldn't watch it because it's too long. It's kind of nice just to sit there and see a full block of 3 hours. Nerd Far Away says, I'm interested. Is this going to run on a network at some point? It's New Line, I believe. So is that Max? Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, but someone was saying earlier, like, is there anything new in this? Not really.
Yeah.
We've seen these, but do you like a Western? This has things you would see in a traditional Western and well worth it. And sort of you get the Indian perspective, which is good. And like, it's like trying to show all sides. And there's people you like, people that are, going down a bad path. Yeah. And I was loving it. It was like, I trust this movie to entertain me. And okay. I enjoyed it. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Hey, it's me and HC is asking you, what about what Wild West Crunchy Bush? Was it?
Oh, there's definitely Crunchy Bush in this.
Okay.
I mean, We haven't seen it on camera yet, but we'll see.
Well, we'll get there. It's bound to
There women do things because they have to survive.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you'll see.
Or to reward people for their goodness.
Yes, there's a different kind of currency in the Old West.
Yeah. The one thing I said about the last comment was this is probably the Western I noticed that is super dense in story. Usually there's not that much story in a Western. This one has, I'm counting 8 so far in this one.
Yeah, like in a traditional Western that's a couple hours, it breezes over things that this can go into. It really goes into depth, and I liked it. I really liked it. It's also like people's morality is tested, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. Well, it's also that cycle of vengeance. I mean, that's certainly been the theme of this. And then also there's the lawlessness yet lawless, or law-abiding aspect of this. That
right.
Okay. Gung Ho Mac. Alan finally see himself in Old West. No, there have been Chinese people in Westerns. Let's be real here. And Latino slant dances with Chinese. Yeah, that's right. The oppression.
Yeah. All right. But we have another. Okay. So we both recommend this movie.
Yes.
Enthusiastically. So, all right. Let's look at our next film, Kalki. Let's do it.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah. You got to keep up. Yeah.
Got to keep up. Keep it up. Rock it hard. Make it work. And make it so.
Kalki 2898 AD is here. People have been asking us for a long time to review this film. I saw it in the theater. It's open in limited release. And this movie, I mean, we can get in. How do you describe the story to this thing?
That's exactly what I'm thinking.
It's like Dune meets Star Wars meets RRR meets Flash Gordon. I kept thinking Flash
and the entire Hindu religion laid over it.
And it's goofy. It's so goofy. You meet these two heroes, and I saw it with an audience, and there were a lot of Indian people in the audience who screamed when certain actors came on screen. There's the character Bharava, and they were screaming. Certain SS Rajamouli, the director of RRR, is in the movie in a bit part. If you watch the trailer, it's filled with crazy special effects. It's a futuristic, like dystopian, where there's this place. It's called what's it called again? When you get to go to this paradise place.
I know, the complex.
The complex, where there's food and water, but everywhere down below, people are suffering. There is no water. There's no hope. You can only get to the complex where there is dancing and singing and champagne and beautiful women. And it's beautiful. And this character, Brava, he's kind of like Captain America meets Iron Man meets Spider-Man meets Superman
meets Han Solo.
And he's sort of a goofball, like, oh, my shoes are not charged, or what. He's always making mistakes. He has like a robot digital assistant that's like he's always talking to. He has a guy who's imprisoned in his like vehicle that he's going to turn in one day, but doesn't really care. He's sort of a sidekick, and it's absolutely over the top and goofy. There's a subplot with women getting pregnant. Like no woman has been able to carry a pregnancy past 150 days. That's kind of a big deal. And there's another god that's introduced, god, superhero, whatever, that, you see. It's in Telugu. which is it's one of the many languages spoken in India, the predominant being Hindu. I mean, I'll say this: it took like 20 minutes to get to the first action sequence, which I thought was hilarious. It's a total Flash Gordon in terms of tone, right? Very goofy, and I was like, I don't know if I like this, but I enjoyed myself. It was so over the top, and some of the effects ranged from really epic to bad. Some of the effects were so bad, it was like Flash Gordon with Sam Jones, where it's just cheesy, but you're invested, and the music is really good. I thought the music was great. That's my overall sort of,
Yeah.
overall take on it. Alan, what did you think?
Yeah. I think, well, the impression I got from this movie is I'm a Christian. So if I took the book of Revelation and made a science fiction movie out of it, that's what this would be. This is deeply steeped. My understanding, look, I'm no expert at all. My understanding is this is kind of the apocalypse of the Hindu religion, and this is kind of where things all end, and this is the final battle between good and evil and the spirit world and all that stuff. That's kind of what we're getting at with this one. And that's why there's a lot of themes of motherhood, of of bringing new life. There's a big bad guy who shows up at the end that has to be who takes a droplet of something and becomes this big thing. I can't even explain it. So the reason I mention all this is because there's a lot of culture going on here that I don't understand and I don't know, and definitely the audience I was with understood it all much better than I did. And you're right. I was also with a predominantly Indian audience, and the applause for the appearance of certain people was deafening in mine. I agree with you in the sense of the first half of the movie, the special effects and the fighting scenes were, I think, goofy is the best way to describe it. It just felt like, old sci-fi movies of the 80s, where the action is a little bit clunky, people move a little bit slow. I will say there's one point in which this movie really turned around for me, and that was the arrival of the character known as Roxy. Boy, is she hot. She's like really hot, and for some reason it was at this point in the movie that it felt like all the special effects in the fighting got better. Like they're finally investing time and energy into making fight scenes look good, and then you get to this battle between Baharava and I forgot the 7-foot tall Gandalf guy.
He was great. I really liked the sequences with him.
Yeah,
like he's
one Thana, I think that's who it was. So I mean, I don't know that I can the last time I didn't recommend an Indian movie, I got a lot of heat for it. And I feel like I like Jawan, go see that one, but this one I feel like it's going to be a tough one for American audiences to latch into. Not RRR had themes that Americans can latch into, the idea of freedom, the idea of the Second Amendment, the idea of overcoming the colonizers. Americans understand that. But this one, it just feels like it's written for the Indian audience, and I think there's giant leaps we're gonna have to take to understand. And I feel like the only thing that we can come away with watching this is an appreciation for the culture. I'm not sure, with the exception of Roxy, I'm not sure there's not a whole lot that we're gonna walk away with saying that we're that this is the must-see movie.
Yeah, I'll give it definitely a recommend for me, but with a caveat that this is very, like, if you like weird cinema from other countries, and if you've seen like a lot of Indian films where they go over the top with effects and violence, we've seen like there's lots of clips of things. Like it's not, you're right, it's not as accessible as RRR. But once you get to the second half, and there's a place where there's supposed to be an intermission and they cut it out.
Oh no, we got ours. We got it.
I didn't get it. It said interval, and then it cut right back to the movie. I was like,
no, we got 10 minutes to go and get my soda refilled and take a bathroom break.
It did not. It needed an interval like there. So whatever, it's fine. But the second half, it really amps up. But you have to know going in, this is as cheesy as Flash Gordon was in the 80s. This is cheesy now. And the cheesiness of it is part of the charm. Like in particular, the third act, when it's so over the top. You're like, all right, I'm either in or you're out. So that's why a warning, right? If you don't like that kind of stuff, I mean, look at the trailer. You want to see that for almost 3 hours. It was 2 hours and 40 minutes. If you like that, like, go for it. If you like the old Flash Gordon, sure. This is the tone of it. And it goes now. What's crazy is at the end, no, not giving anything away. This is part of a connected universe of heroes. They literally say this is they basically copy the MCU.
I forgot what it was. Yeah,
I forgot what it was, but very
is
much
it the Kalki cinematic universe. Is that how
the Kalki cinematic universe? This is what's happening, and I was like, all right, fine, give me more, let's go. So
yeah, I mean, I do have to say,
I enjoyed it.
The special effects, the science fiction special effects, felt like a throwback to the 80s.
It did.
Yeah,
it did. And there are some really good side characters. That one woman who was riding the sort of hover cycle.
Yeah.
That like transformed. That sequence was so goofy. It was funny. I was laughing out loud.
I mean, that's the thing that that's the thing that got me was it just seemed like that the special effects got better at the end in the second half.
Yes.
And that for the first half, I mean, the first half, the movie being so long, it was like, I'm just not getting into this. You know, it's just, you know, it may be a throwback to the 80s, but we're not in the 80s anymore.
Right. But I give it a recommend if you are open to something goofy, Flash Gordon like, influenced by. It's weird because the story is very Indian, very in terms of themes and characters.
Yeah, it's very entrenched in the Hindu religion,
but it's also very influenced by American action movies.
Yeah, sci-fi action,
sci-fi like Flash Gordon, like Dune, like Marvel, very much Marvel, even Mad Max in a way, because a lot of it is in the desert, and they've set up for bigger things to happen in the continuing story. So I like it. I'll go see part 2, whatever it is. And SS Roger Malie doing a weird cameo in like a Road Warrior like vehicle was kind of funny. Like, that's for the diehards. And yes, there are dance sequences and singing, but they not as many as RRR.
I mean, I wouldn't call it a. Yeah, I expected more. I expected longer, and I expected bigger.
Yeah,
it wasn't that.
But I think, do you recommend Kalki 2898?
I'm sorry.
Oh, so we split.
Yeah, I got so much heat for it. It's just look, you know, I just couldn't access it well. Couldn't grasp onto it, and you know, like I'm not gonna go out and tell my non-Indian friends to go that you're gonna have a great time with this.
Well, RRR to me is the gold standard, and this is sort of the fast food version of a lot of what, because I've seen other films, other Indian films like KGF, among others, which I like. KGF, it's on Amazon. You can see that. So check it out if you are open to it. If not, there you go. So, okay, let's go to your comments right here. We'll start with Supers.
All right. Darth Yeager for member for 5 months. Thank you for your support. Let's see, where are we going? Jason Yankovic became a member as well. Thank you for your support and join us on Discord. Grease Monkey for 5. Horizon movies must dull passion.
Do well.
Okay. Horizon movie must do well. Passion project for Costner Gamble. 2 movies in the same summer need to show you don't need CGI and 200 million to make a good movie. Yeah, not a lot of CGI in this one.
Yeah, not a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it is a risk. This is not one I would say it's going to pay off. I don't know if this is going to pay off. Loppy Loud for $4.99. Thank you for that.
Start from the top, Alan.
Yes. Lord of the Films. Are there lightsabers?
No, but I'll say this. It's influence from all over even I saw a little cloud atlas in it. Like there's this complex where they keep the women that are pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
And it's this huge complex. They eat like food, like an apple is a luxury, right? It's a big deal. And you get good food if you are pregnant. They keep them in this complex and they're using these women to get a secret serum. They don't
like the Matrix in a way.
Yeah. So it's you just see a lot of influences, but no lightsabers. So
all right, Latino Slam. Hey Polly. Love this wacky epic. Gonna see it again.
There you go.
All right.
Thanks, Polly.
Z, I thought Chris was having another stroke. Glad he was saying RRR.
RRR. What do you yeah.
Laura Fate, foreign films are a godsend sometimes.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, again, from Bad Mash, all Bollywood films imitate and copy Hollywood films, but are over the top like the Fast and the Furious. Yeah.
Yep.
But I like to think they bring more style to it than the Fast and Furious. Ron Henriques, I found some of the poor visual effects to be forgivable. Been a while since I've seen a film as visually imaginative as this. Goofy, yes, but it's made for a different culture. Fun. Can't wait for the sequel. Yeah.
Well, happy you saw it and enjoyed it. I was just like, well, this is what this is. But Flash Gordon is one of my all-time favorite movies. It just is. Like I love Flash Gordon so much. So the fact that it felt very influenced by Flash Gordon was good for me.
Yes. I will rule you one day, Flash Gordon.
Alan, what is up with that? That's just that's crazy. All right, back to the comments here. We have a special guest joining us very shortly. Dan Covert waiting in the wings. We're going to talk about his film. Let's get through these comments real quick.
All right, from Torviticus. Alan treading on dangerous territory. Oh man, you have no idea the last time I did a bad review to an Indian film. One Punch Man Tolkien fan. Is there any singing or dancing? There's a little bit.
Not as much as I thought there could have been more, which is weird to say.
I know.
For an Indian film. I want more singing and dancing.
Like when it happened, it was like, well, that was it. That's all we got. Lord of the Films, I expect longer and I expect bigger.
Wait, can you read that again, Alan?
I mean, I said it. I expect I expect longer and I expect bigger.
We got it.
There you go.
All right.
That's a free one, everybody. From Sukash Sekorn for 100 squiggly lines. I remember Animal the most.
I recommended.
No, it says I recommend Animal.
Yes.
The most. You've been inged. The most controversial and second highest grossing film last year in India. This movie is a middle finger to woke culture, and it's great. All
right. We will review Animal on the show.
All right. See, I'm the one with dyslexia, and yet I still read it right. All right. Darth Yeager gifted 5 film memberships. And then from Sakash Sikorn for 40 squiggly lines. There is a prelude to Kalki on Amazon and YouTube.
Oh, look that up.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. It's time. It's time. We have a special guest. Director Dan Covert is here to talk about his documentary about the artist Geoff McFetridge, drawing a life. He's here. So let's get to the interview. Hey, Dan, thanks for joining us. Good to see you.
Hey, how's it going?
Let's feature you here front and center. I don't know who Geoff McFetridge is, and I am a huge fan of just documentaries about artists. I was not aware of his work, but I certainly know it. I was shocked how much his work showed up, like in movies, on my Apple Watch, which like I saw his watch is his art is one of the faces for the watch. Tell me, how did you discover Geoff McFetridge?
Yeah, I studied graphic design in the early 2000s, and that was kind of when he was starting his journey. There's this show called Beautiful Losers. It was a big street art show. He was kind of part of that movement. So that was like where he got on my radar, kept tabs on him for the next 20 years, and then had an opportunity to kind of start diving in on this project. But yeah, he was like a hero of mine for a long period of time, and to be able to kind of like take a step back and have this interaction and make a film was a fantastic experience.
How did you convince him? Because I was amazed. First of all, the movie is like a tight 90 minutes ish. You get into so much depth about him and how he just sees things differently, even how he works with directors like Spike Jonze and among others. And Sofia Coppola, and I realized I have seen his work everywhere. How did you convince him to give such a personal look? And then also at the process, you see him in his workspace and revealing kind of maybe how his brain works, which isn't like a lot of other people, which shouldn't surprise you.
We basically kind of like, I had met him once prior. We'd done a short film together. An opportunity came up to do another short film for an award he'd won. And I was like, hey, let's use this opportunity to film together for a little bit, see how we vibe for longer, and then start a longer project. And he was like, okay, let's see where I go. It wasn't like, yes, let me sign on from day one. It was like, let's see where it goes and kind of like how we could build it. And then, with any subject, it's just trust over time. It's just showing him we know what we're doing, showing him my intentions, showing him that he can trust us to tell his story. And then slowly but slowly, he invites us into more and more of his life.
And the part of the movie was also shot during COVID. So how do you we've interviewed a lot of doc filmmakers who didn't stop working. They, rolled with the punches. How did you navigate that? It's not a big part of the movie, but it's there and present.
It didn't really change our production at all because the crew is tiny anyway. It's just three of us, you know what I mean? It's just a DP, a director who's myself, and then a sound person. So he lives in LA, I live in New York. So we still had the same kind of amount of trips. It was more of like how we cover it in the film, or do we cover it in the film? And I came back to, he saw COVID in a very specific way and wrote this piece for the New York Times about it and did these paintings. So I felt like it was necessary to show how he went through this experience through his art and how he was able to communicate this experience we all went through, because I felt like it was a way for the audiences to kind of like see into a mind of someone that we all went through this experience. This is how he dealt with it and showed it in a poetic, artful way. So it was important to me that it was in there, but I didn't want to make it this giant part of the movie. We did a lot of test screenings and people were like, take it out. I don't want to think about COVID. Or some people were like, this is amazing. So we had to take a step back and be like, is this worth including or not? And what is the intention of including it? It's only like 3 minutes in an 80-minute film. So it's quite tiny, but I think because everyone has been through that experience, they have a lot more impact from seeing COVID reflected in culture,
I have to say, I do appreciate it because we've seen a lot of docs that were made during that time or in that, where it crosses over. And I'm glad you acknowledged it and moved on. So good on your friends for giving you those notes. Can you tell us, for those who don't know Geoff's work, And we should maybe take a look at the trailer. But if you don't know his work, can you say like where it just pops up or how you would know it? And we'll watch the trailer in a minute. I'll find it here.
Yeah, I mean, he's worked on every one of Spike Jonze's films. I think most that are notably Her and Where the Wild Things Are. He did the title sequence for Virgin Suicides. The Apple Watch face you mentioned. Tons of stuff for Warby Parker if you're in Los Angeles or in other areas of the country. Logo for Freaks and Geeks. Countless times it's here. So I think once you see the trailer, you'd be like, oh, I've seen that.
That's how I felt when I saw the trailer and the movie. And that's how I felt, is like, how is it? Because what I love about artists' documentaries or profiles, or books about artists, is process. He really, how did you get him to open up about the process? Like, it's about, and he talks about this, just you have to be in the right mental state. Your space matters, where you work, how you can get your mind focused. And I love hearing about that from both writers and artists. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, I also am an artist. I have been practicing for 10 years. So I think I know that language. I know what it feels like to be in a blank room with a blank piece of paper and understand what it means to make something. So I think from there, we're starting on a level playing field, and I can kind of dive into those subjects with him and like understand that process of creation. But I think you are right, honing in on the notion that it's not like Jackson Pollock, who it's fueled by alcohol and cigarettes and all these other. It's like it's fueled by how can I be a better person? How can I treat my body with care and respect and as a machine? And it's all about this process of kind of like honing and honing and honing of how do you make your life better and more functional. And you can see that in the work. The work gets better and better and better over time because he's really these microscopic details that he's dialing in order to kind of dial in his life. Spike said a line that we kind of like, we took out of the film, I think ultimately in the final cut, but it's like, it's basically like a pebble that he's like rounding and rounding and rounding the sharp edges off the pebble very slowly and kind of building out this career, this body of work. Like what's too big, what's too small? Do I care about money? Do I care about artistic success? Like all these things, he's kind of like dialing in. How big does my studio get? Is there 15 people or is there one person? Like all those things are within his control, and he's like continually tweaking and dialing those in.
And it's also refreshing. I'll say we have like over 2,000 people watching live. They have questions for you. We'll get to your chat questions, viewer questions after we watch the trailer. But it's refreshing to see an artist profile doc about someone who's not a drug addict or alcohol, personal demons. I mean, he really, and his really beautiful relationship with his daughter, that's a part of it. Like it was like, oh, refreshing. This is like an artist focus on the art and not like battling a past trauma, whatnot.
It's interesting. Like when I started, I'd been a fan of the work and I expected that was a facade, this like good guy, nice guy thing. And I was going to crack it and see a darkness underneath it. And it was almost the inverse where I cracked it and it was like, no, it's all about living with intention, living positively, refining your life, trying to balance all of these things. And that was kind of refreshing. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, how do you make that a compelling film? Because you need to have some kind of conflict or tension or else it's just like a puff piece. So it was something along the lines where we were just like, how is the dialogue he's having more insular? How do you bring that outward and show that there were struggles along the way? And there were times where he was going in this direction, he needed to be going in that direction. So we kind of focus more on the life journey and the inward journey than this like crazy battle with like drugs or alcohol or philandering or these types of things, which you might expect in somebody who's operating at this kind of like, he's not like a rock star who's going around the world being chaotic. It's more about like, how am I a better human?
Let's take a look at the trailer and we'll go to your questions, everyone who's watching. So let me see. I'll set this up. Alan, you know what to do. I found this on YouTube. So let's go.
You'll see a Pepsi billboard, Apple Watch face, but you don't know his name necessarily.
I'm from the suburbs. I was interested in geometry ever since I was a little kid.
He literally drew 3 hours an evening.
I need a way out of life today. A friend of mine became a pro snowboarder. he asked me, "Oh, will you do my graphic?" That was like the light bulb going off. That's graphic design. There was a lot sort of happening at that moment.
You know, we're all mid-20s and making stuff and helping each other make stuff.
The worst thing anyone could be was like a corporate sellout.
Having kids is a lot of pressure. He felt like it was really important to have a job. I was always like, art is so much more important.
Starting my own studio, it wasn't a business. I was experimenting. I'm going to fill the room with me stuff, like my mind.
There's definitely a lot going on in his head.
I was sort of redefining how I worked and where it would go.
The guy is nonstop. He knows how to push himself. Geoff is a control freak, for sure.
I'm going to run myself into the ground.
Do you ever just like chill?
Nope. Geoff's drawings have something different.
It's not an accident that the largest corporations want to pick his brain about how to communicate with visual language.
Please welcome to the stage, Geoff McFetridge.
I look up to the part of him that balances work and being an artist with life.
It's like super infinite.
Wow. That was just, it reminds me just watching the movie for the first time and just, I watched it twice, by the way. I felt so inspired because I am a graphic design nerd. I read like Confessions of an Ad Man, Ogilvy and Mather, those books. I've read books about fonts and font design. Graphics have been, I'm not sure if you're aware, Film Threat magazine was a print magazine in the 90s. It was so important for me for it to be completely unique. And I just always have an appreciation for graphic design, and this movie really loved it. So thank you for that, for all the inspiration. We have a lot of comments in the chat here. So let's look at this. We'll get to these questions here from Go Party Time. Geoff is such a great artist. Excited to see this. You will leave inspired. Trust me. Solomon Thornton, greetings, Sir Dan. What was the process of getting this documentary made?
Yeah, I mean, it's a long process of like idea of conception, and then how do you figure out the funding? You know, in our case, I own a production company that creates commercials. So we basically like have a lot of equipment and relationships with cinematographers and sound people, and we just start making it, you know what I mean? And it's just like here and there, you're kind of patching this thing together. It's just truly an independent movie. It's not like a giant Netflix or HBO production. It's like we're pushing the boulder up over our hill, and like we're all kind of getting out there because we believe in the subject, we believe in the process. So, you know, it's a 4-year journey. We're excited for it to come out and kind of like have you all see it. But yeah, it's just been a kind of duct tape and Band-Aid production, and we're just getting there. You know what I mean?
From Professor Fear, do you own any original McFetridge art?
I do own some original. I'm lucky that I've been a fan for a long time, so I was able to buy it when I could still afford it. I don't think I can afford it as much anymore. But, yes, luckily I have a couple pieces in my collection.
And from Rumble, Aid Ellis 24, was Geoff inspired by the 20th century work of British painter L.S. Lowry?
He didn't mention his work specifically. A lot of influences, we chose not to include that in the film, who specifically he was influenced by, because that becomes a can of worms. But I think one of his biggest influences is Saul Steinberg, who's an artist who did a lot of New Yorker covers and kind of like similar line work in kind of thinking. But he has a bajillion influences. Yeah.
And he also goes on to say, Aid Ellis 24, in what ways does the city of New York inspire and influence the work of Geoff?
It's interesting. He's actually an LA-based artist, and his relationship to New York, I think, is a little, both in terms of when he first showed in New York, it was a big milestone for him, but I think he feels like the work always feels a little out of place in New York City. So he's more of kind of an LA outdoor organic, and then New York is like not always that. So it is interesting if like sometimes he says his shows in New York feel it's just a different thing for him because he's so used to a different environment.
And let's see here. Hail from the nerd far away. Hail, Mr. Covert. which movie do you think best captures the value of art? Not your movie, but other movies. That value varies widely, but it's important. And I'd like to know the story you would pick.
There's these two films about the artist Andy Goldsworthy that are worth looking up. Value is a very tricky word because you start to think about money, and I don't necessarily think of that what I'm talking about here. But they're put out. At least the first one was put out by Magnolia. Let me look at whatever. You guys can Google Andy Goldsworthy. He's an artist, but it's a lot of him talking to camera about thoughts that he's dealing with in the artistic process. The movies are insanely simple. There's really no narrative other than you're watching a land artist out in the work talk about his art. But I think I got a lot out of those in terms of like artistic inspiration and kind of process.
Well, that's the big question. Like with artists, it's always, I think, a battle between, well, I have to live and eat. But the battle between the corporate world, which I think is the worst place for art to exist. If like just knowing, you know, people in the industry, a lot of friends who are in the industry, it's like a constant battle. It's like siloing yourself away from corporate to actually be able to do something meaningful, right? That's and that is discussed quite a bit in your film. Brock Samsonite.
I'll just say, I'm sorry, Leaning into the Wind. That's the Magnolia Pictures.
Yeah. Oh, good. Brock Samsonite, what was Geoff's main art medium?
Now it's primarily drawing, pencil on paper, and painting, kind of acrylic paint that he's using these elaborate stenciling and spraying. So primarily known for painting and drawing at this point.
Hey, it's me and HD, who's a member, asked, oh man, this is my type of jam. Where can I see this, Mr. Covert? And kudos on the awesome job. This looks hella good.
Thank you. Thank you. On July 2nd, which I believe is next Tuesday, it's going to be available on VOD. So in the United States and Canada, you can go to iTunes, Amazon, all those jams and buy it on buy or rent on VOD. And then anywhere overseas that's not US or Canada, you can go to Vimeo on demand and be able to buy it there as well.
And Bush and Ryu Cat sends in for Dan, AI mustn't replace artists like Geoff. Yeah, AI that's a whole other documentary topic, but any thoughts on that?
I think it's almost impossible to replace someone like him. While it might be able to generate and rip off his formal language, I think what's interesting about Geoff is there is a thinking and intention behind the work that you never would be able to replicate with just digital recreation.
And a quick kudos to you for including Chip Kidd in the doc. I'm a fan of Chip Kidd. I love his TED Talk. So he came up with the logo for the Jurassic Park book cover, which extended to the movies. So I'm definitely a graphic design nerd, if that can exist. Question, a good final question here from comment here from Patrick Lemire. McFetridge reminds me of Raymond Lowery designer, everything from logos to trains to cars, a guy who no one knows, but everyone knows his stuff.
Yeah, I think that generation, kind of the Eames, the George Nelson, these people that were operating across multi-mediums, very high level. That's an inspiration, I think, to Geoff, and then Geoff's generation of those artists is an inspiration to my generation. So it's kind of like this continual cycle of these people who are operating at a crazy high caliber and how they're inspiring the next generations to come.
Dan Covert, thank you so much for joining us. Your film, Geoff McFetridge, Drawing a Life, is out on VOD July 2nd. I appreciate you so much. I made documentary films myself. I'm trying to finish one right now. It's a labor of love. I notice you don't have a butler. Documentaries, you do it for the love and the passion. And this movie just bleeds passion and love. And I thank you for doing this. And thank you for being on the show on Film Threat.
Thank you for the kind review of the movie, and thank you for shining the light on us. We really appreciate it, man.
Great. All right. Have a great weekend. Take care.
Bye, guys.
See ya. That was great.
Yeah.
This was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Good way to end the show on a movie recommend. And I saw the movie twice and I loved it. And I was like, it just makes you want to be creative yourself. Now, we had other movies to review, Daddy-O being among them. We will get to it next week. I promise. There's not a lot of films next week. I want to do proper reviews. We'll get to them, but we do have final super chats and comments here from you. Let's get to them right here, Alan.
Yes, from Chris Wakefield, 499. Do you remember The Quick and the Dead, and what are your thoughts of it? I feel like it's undervalued and really entertaining.
Yeah, it was really entertaining because it wasn't real traditional Western, and that was what I appreciated. Alan?
I just remember I think 12 of my friends were over, and we just had it on, kind of watching it. But I mean, Sharon Stone was hot at that point, in appearance and in the zeitgeist. And then Gene Hackman. I can't say enough about how great Gene Hackman is.
Oh, he's so good.
Yeah. Let's see. From Sukar Sikorn for 40. Rajamouli's dream project is to remake Mahabharat.
To make Mahabharat.
Okay.
Well, I've heard there's rumors of RRR getting a sequel. I don't know how you do it.
Yeah, how do you do that?
But I'm just interested in anything he does.
I don't know. I just can't imagine there's 3 more hours of story after what we got in RRR. Maybe they have raised kids. Maybe create a theme park of some sort.
Another comment.
Again, Animal is like Godfather directed by Tarantino.
Another comment from Sakarsh Sakan. Thank you for the 40 of something.
Yeah.
But thank you. We will check out Animal. There is an Indian movie I'm seeing later we're going to talk about next week called Kill. So hopefully we'll get to see it next week. Kill.
Yes.
Have you seen? I saw the trailer.
I haven't
actually.
seen it.
It looked really good. It's like an Indian John Wick. Looks good.
Oh yeah, I think like the opening scene is a guy being dragged through a train. Is that the one?
Yes.
Okay. From Bobby's World, member for 7 months. Ahoy, mi amigo. Wishing you a great weekend. And
thank you so much. You have a great weekend too. It's 4th of July weekend eve, if that makes sense. And a final super chat coming in hot from Lappy Lod. Go ahead, Alan.
Yeah, with Westerns coming back, I believe a faithful adaptation of Stephen King's Dark Tower series would be a huge hit. Thoughts? Appreciate you guys.
100%.
Why did the first one fail? Do you remember?
I don't know.
Yeah, no one watched it. That was...
People seem mixed to negative on that. Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see a lot of things. The thing that Horizon brings up, can you do a series on the big screen? I'll say this. I would love Game of Thrones on the big screen. House of the Dragon, if they released episodes in theaters, people would go. Like maybe you see 3 episodes at a time, each month. Get to see 1 episode early. That would be huge. I mean, they've done events where you could see, certain things in the theater, like Picard. They did an episode of Picard season 3 in the theater. I couldn't get tickets. They sold out immediately. But yeah, I'd like to see that kind of do that. So another comment here.
Yes, from Sukarsh again. Thank you for your support, by the way. For 40. Flashback in Kalki is the Battle of Mahabharat.
Mahabharat. It's all good, Alan. It's all good. All right.
By the way, I just want to say another trailer that got me excited was Trap from M. Night.
Oh, that Trap trailer looks good.
Oh my gosh. I had no idea what that movie's about.
I'm all in. The tension. I'm sorry. I will go see everything M. Night does. I will. I don't unapologetically. I'll see it. So that's it for us today. Next week, back Monday with Versus. Wednesday, a very special Hollywood on the Rocks. and our normal Friday Film Threat livecast reviewing a bunch of movies, including Daddy-O and Minions 4 or Despicable Me 4. It's people just call it Minions.
Yeah, but it's technically it's Gru's.
All right. And thanks to our mods, Lord Thoth, Latino Slant. Shout out to Atomic Lori and Glenuccio, our intrepid producer. And we thank you in the chat. You make
By the way,
show.
I'm already getting heat for my review of Kalki, and it's all coming from Polly. So
wait, really?
yeah.
Polly is on fire in the chat.
I know.
What
I'm sorry,
is
I didn't like it as much as you did.
Hated it.
Alan, how dare you?
Yeah. Hey, so I would encourage you, if you want to see some great comments when the Kalki review goes online, just read everything that's being said about me.
You can read these questions if you can't see them. I don't know what that's all about, but yeah, have a great weekend, everybody. We appreciate you. Back next week with our regular shows. Although Alan is going to be on the road. Isn't that right?
Yes. Yeah. So I may not be doing video. You just may be hearing me.
Well, come up with a good avatar. What's your current avatar? I change.
It's my.
All the.
Yeah. It's this one.
How about you as me? Oh, that's your headshot. That's Gore. Wait, here's mine right here, right now. I feel like that's appropriate.
Well, I have the one Bill Plimpton made for me.
We'll put it up there.
All right.
Put it up there. All right.
Look for it.
We're back next week. Everybody have a great weekend. And thank you so much. We appreciate you. We continue to grow. We're almost at 125,000. But Alan's dream, his dream is to get to
169,000.
That's right. So take care, everybody. Go see a movie or see an independent film. Alan?
Let's get out of here.